Hi folks, this is Ben from carrypad.com. HTC put together a nice little box for the HTC Rime, and I figured it was worthy of a little unboxing, so if you'll join me, let's get started. It's your typical Verizon branding on here. On the side they've got a little ribbon to slide out from the side, which is pretty neat. And aside from that, not a whole lot of specs over here, just some small text, purple box, and so let's take a look inside. So we're going to slide it on out, and we've got the phone right away over here. And just before we get to that, let's run through what else comes along with it after popping it out. Underneath here we have a little booklet case with all sorts of exciting information that you're surely to get a thrill out of reading. And underneath there we've got a little compartment with a number of different cables and cords. Let's check those out real quick. So this is your USB to micro USB adapter for charging. This is a wall, an AC to USB plug so that you can plug your cord into there if you want to charge from a wall. Here we have some headphones from HTC. Let's have a look at these. They look pretty nice. They've sort of got that circular thing going on and flat on one side. I don't know if you've ever seen the Beats earbud headphones. They look a little bit like that. And they're purple. They match the color of the phone. And there is an inline controller here which has volume up and down. And actually that button on the bottom there looks like it might be a pause or play button. Let me try to brighten this up so you can see it. And so presumably be able to change the volume, change the track, and maybe answer calls. It does look like there's a microphone on there, so you'll be able to talk through this as a hands-free headset. And over here, I believe this is a rather interesting thing that comes with this phone. This is a little light-up cube, actually, that will notify you of stuff coming from your phone. And this plugs into the headphone jack, and then you can actually trail this, unravel it, and put this somewhere that is more likely to get your attention. I guess HTC is thinking that people are going to have the phone in their purse, and then this can hang out the side so you can see it, or I don't know, maybe where you charge your phone at night is not right next to you, and you might want to be able to see it. But we'll see how that works a little bit later. And there's one more thing to go through here, which is pretty cool. There's a little dock, which is, it's always fun to get accessories that come default with the phone. Too often we see almost nothing inside the box aside from the phone and a few cables. So this is a little dock that HTC put together. There are no extra ports on it, so all we've got in the back here is micro USB. So you plug it in, so it does nothing more than charge, but it is made out of felt, or it's not made out of felt, it's got sort of a fiber wrapping around it. Not felt, like almost like a stocking material, actually. And it says HTC here, 3 little contact points for charging the phone, which are going to match up nicely with the 3 right there under the camera. And we'll see how this sits in here. There's magnets in the dock that sort of hold the phone to it. It doesn't quite click in. It's not such a satisfying, snap into place, but it does fit in there snugly once you get it in. And the magnet is obviously somewhat powerful, so it's going to hold it in there at that angle with no problem. And it may also understand via the contact of these charging points when it's in the dock, so we'll likely see some software pop up as we put it in the dock, and we'll take a look at that in just a little bit. And let's run around the phone real quick. So this is the HTC Rime. It's a 3.7-inch display at 800 by 480, and I really like the size of it. You guys know I'm a stickler for huge phones these days. I'm not a big fan, and I've probably told you why far too many times. But so yeah, this is 3.7 inches, not above 4, which is sort of where I draw the line because it just gets so hard to use. So obviously with Android, your important buttons are down here across the bottom, and then also at the top you're constantly pulling your status bar down for notifications. So as you can see, with just one hand, I can do that very easily with minimal shuffling. If this was a 4, 4.3, 4.5, or 5-inch screen, you can imagine, my thumb would have to be pulling down from up here, then I'd have to shuffle down to the buttons, shuffle back up to where the status is. So to be able to do all that one hand, very little movement of the phone in my hand, that's much more comfortable for me. So I do like the size. It's quite thin, and obviously very purple. And we can run around the phone real quick. On the front we've got a VGA camera. You can see a faint speaker line right there. These are usually a little bit more accented on HTC phones, but this one's a little more subdued. It might be hard to see actually, but that's where your handset speaker will be. And on the right side we've got volume rocker with a nice little click to it. On the left side there is nothing except for a covered micro USB charging port and syncing presumably. On the bottom nothing but a microphone. And on the top we've got a 3.5mm headphone jack, sleep and power button. On the back is a 5-megapixel camera with an LED flash, and of course under here are your little charge points for when you've got it resting in the dock. And this probably here is a speaker for when you're on speakerphone, and there's also, it actually looks possibly like a number of microphones. There is one here, and actually 2 down here, so there may be some noise cancellation with that. And this is a 1 GHz, not dual core, just 1 GHz processor, 768 megabytes of RAM, and I believe it's running Android 2.3 with HTC Sense. So I'm going to get this fired up and set up, and thanks to the power of digital editing, I'll be back in just a few seconds to show you the software and a little bit with the dock. And here we are back with the HTC Rime fully set up and ready to go, so we can take a look at the software. So HTC Rime comes with HTC Sense 3.5, and as you can see on the lock screen, that means there are a couple of changes from what you may have seen with previous versions of HTC Sense, like on the Thunderbolt. So what you do to unlock is pull the ring, and that'll take you to your home screen. But of course you got a couple other options. You can make a phone call, go to your mail application, camera, or messages, and these should be configurable. But what you do to access any of these 4 is, instead of pulling the ring and letting it go, you actually drag the icon of the action right onto the ring itself. So if you want to take a quick camera shot, you can pull up in the camera app just like that. And so here is the default home screen. You can see that they have foregone the left to right sliding style, and now they're using more of a rotation, so it's almost like it's spinning around. And this actually loops all the way around if you spin it really quick like that. You guys may recognize something like this from something called SPB Shell, I believe it was called, from Windows Mobile. It was an early Windows Mobile 6.0 and beyond skin. So they've taken a couple of hints from that, and I don't really know that the ability to spin it quickly like that has any practical purpose, but it's fun, even if it'll get old quickly. And so it does go all the way around. So in previous versions of HTC Sense, you could go 3 pages to the right, 3 pages to the left usually, for a total of 7 pages. And so on this one you can actually go to the end of your pages and loop back around to the other side, which is nice because if you only have a couple of pages, or you want to get from one end to all the way on the other end, you don't have to go all the way across. You can just sort of go around the corner, if you will. So that's it for the animations there. Something that they've done which is really handy, is they are automatically now rearranging stuff on the screen when you try to customize your home screen. So previously, if I wanted to move this search bar widget down where these icons are, I would have to move all the icons one by one, which is a pain. So now you can actually drag it down, and you'll see it'll make space for them automatically, which is really neat. and makes organizing your home screen quite a bit less tedious, especially when you have humongous widgets like HTC likes to have, like this one, which looks like it's only, it takes up a couple places here and a couple spots on the grid on there, but this is actually a full screen widget that takes up the whole thing. So let's see what happens if we try to put that on this page. It'll actually shoot me over to a new page where I can place it. So let's get out of that mode, and while we're talking about this big widget here, this is something that HTC always does, which honestly I hate. They integrate their own mail application, even though I'm going to go ahead and say the majority of users of Android phones are Gmail users, just by nature of the fact that they've got a Gmail address that they sign into the device with. But instead of doing a native email implementation for their widgets, they always go with their own email application, which I think is a little bit silly considering Gmail on Android is pretty darn good. So up here you see the mail icon, and this will not access your Gmail account as far as I know, unless you configure it specifically to do so. But I can pull out this little drawer with this widget. You can see it says no mail because their email account doesn't have anything, I haven't configured it. And then you can actually take this widget down to the settings to modify it, and you can tap on that, go to app, and we're going to customize this for Gmail, pick Gmail, and now you'd say, okay, great, now that'll do exactly what it was going to do, but with Gmail instead. Unfortunately not. Now when you pull out this little drawer, all you get is text that says tap icon to open application. So you're not really getting the full integration of Gmail in there when you're trying to use this, and you won't get that unless you use their own mail application, which is a little bit annoying. So further on this widget, we've got messages. You pull that out, it'll show you, a recent message, and those can be SMS. Except I can't get back to the menu here. Here we go. SMS, voicemail, or all messages, which presumably may be able to come from Facebook or other sources. Down here we've got calendar, so if you pull out that little drawer you'll get a recent event, and camera will show you the last 3 photos that you've taken, and of course you can always click on these icons over here to get to the applications themselves. HTC loves to do this. They make humongous widgets that some people like, and I personally hate, because it's taking up this whole home screen with these little drawers that, am I honestly going to look into my camera and say, oh, I want to see one of the last 3 photos that I've taken? Probably not. Chances are it's much more effective for me to just put a link to the gallery app, that will take up only a single square on my home screen, so that I can view that directly and see a whole bunch of the last pictures I've taken, instead of hoping that occasionally I will need to see the last 3. Of course, friend stream, same way, takes up the whole page, but some people really like these, so I guess it's good that they're there, and you always have the option to go with default widgets. You can clear these screens completely of any HTC widgets and go entirely with the built-in Android ones, and get your favorites off the market, so not too big a problem. In the app menu, it's pretty familiar, although they've now decided to sort it by frequent and all apps, and I guess this is useful for organizing. I like what they've done when you've got more than a page full of apps. Instead of flicking it and it just sort of free flows and lands wherever, they do give you a sort of group by group view now, which is way easier mentally to sort of understand where you are on the whole of the page, so that's nice. And then you've also got a downloaded section, which any apps from the downloaded section will be in your all apps and may end up in your frequent apps. And they've made it pretty easy to uninstall applications directly from the home screen, which is nice. So let's say I've downloaded Google Docs and I want to get rid of that. Alright, whoops, that's not it. You have to go here, hit the remove app button, and then you'll be able to tap on any of these apps that you want to take away. It's just shooting you a shortcut right to the downloaded applications that you can choose to uninstall pretty easily, instead of digging through the menus to in the settings to find that yourself. And of course, we've got this dock. We haven't forgotten about it. This comes included, and these three little dots right here line up with these three little dots on the back to charge the phone, and it's held in place with magnets, but the actual connection is done via Bluetooth. And I wish that this sort of sat and snapped in here a little bit more satisfyingly, but it stays in, but it's not that sort of satisfying. The magnets don't pull it right into place as you would hope. So when you do place it in here, it realizes that and it pairs automatically. And so you can see it says Bluetooth headset connected. The dock actually has speakers in it, which will allow you to play music or any audio out of the dock that's coming through the phone. And so obviously you can see it's gone into a dock view here. You've got your time, weather. You can hit this button down here for photo frame to see slideshow of recent photos. And you can also hit this button here, which will dim the screen way down. In fact, you might not be able to see it, but I can still see it. So this is sort of a nighttime sleeping view, so you can still see your clock. It's a little annoying that they don't have a notification list right here because, I mean, personally, when I wake up in the morning, you know, check my phone, did I get any emails, any texts, what have you. And I think that's pretty common behavior for a number of people, so to not have that on here is a little weird. You can pull down the status bar, but as you can see, there's so much space taken up that you actually can't see any of your notifications. So by default, we've got the status bar. Then we've got a big, huge bar that says Verizon Wireless, and then we have a huge thing that shows you your recent applications. Underneath that is a notification that will always be there that's telling you that you're in desk mode, or in desk mode, and it says select to return to dock mode. So when you click on it, it just goes back to where you were. So it's a totally useless thing that could be removed to show you at least one notification on here, but instead you'd have to scroll up and down to get to your list that will populate down here. So that is a little ridiculous. I think they should have a better sort of notification center option for the dock. Of course, you can play your music here pretty quickly, and I'll hit that just so you can hear what it sounds like briefly.
Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock as the day begins, silently closing her bedroom door, leaving the note.
So as you can hear, the speakers aren't spectacular. I would say they're probably not even better than what's on the phone. They're about the same, except they can go louder. So I mean, that's not bad if you are using this for an alarm clock or a little wake-up radio, listen to a podcast, something like that. But, I mean, you're not going to be rocking your room with this little dock. And I'll show you briefly. It will transition automatically from the dock to the phone, so I just pulled it out. And it is, well, now it's launched itself into a photo mode. So now it's coming out of the phone, and when I put it down the dock, it'll actually switch over automatically. It does take a few seconds though to set up the connection. So it's still on the phone right now. Bluetooth headset connected, and there it goes to the dock. And because it's Bluetooth, actually, there's a little bit of lag when you adjust the volume. So it does that a little bit slowly, which is a little bit strange at first. Pause that, show you what the photo frame looks like. So it just runs through your all photos and does a little scanning and fading effect. Which, I mean, you see this functionality all the time on these phones, whether it be in a widget or through an application, and I just don't quite get it. I mean, I took these photos. I'm not going to be sitting at my bedside table looking at this dock, watching through the photos, I guess, so it just doesn't seem like a very practical way to view it, but for some reason the functionality is always included. So of course you have the time, and you can tap on that, which takes you to set your alarms, which is handy. You can also see world clock, if it'll go over there, your timer, and then you can also go to a desk clock, which is sort of just a different version of the one that is on this screen by default. So that's a little bit of the dock functionality, or most of it anyway, and the HTC Rhyme, and we're going to have a lot more for you on carrypad.com. Full review, gallery, all that good stuff. If you have any questions that you'd like answered about this phone, please feel free to drop us a comment on any of the articles, and we would love to get them answered for you.